we have our hands on the OPPO Reno10 Pro, a phone which is less than 30,000 pesos, which now has a telephoto portrait camera, an upgraded Sony IMX890 main camera, an ultrawide camera, and a 32 megapixel Sony front camera. This phone has no business being called a mid-range phone. So, let's test it out. The biggest advantage of this is definitely the 32 megapixel telephoto portrait camera. To the average person, this means you can now optically zoom in, which you can. But this is also meant to level up portrait photography. There's a reason why professional photographers use different lenses depending on what they're taking a photo of. On a camera, a 50mm lens is usually referred to as a portrait lens. The Reno10 Pro's portrait lens has an equivalent focal length of 47mm, and it just looks more flattering on faces because you can get the natural lens compression of a native lens, which you cannot get just by cropping in on the main camera, like most mid-rangers do. Meaning, the look this can produce would now come closer to how it's done in professional photography. And paired with its portrait algorithm, it can simulate blur to add to an even more professional look. Now, of course, there are other phones that also have this feature, but this is my first time seeing this in the mid-range. And I'll be honest, this alone blows all other mid-range phones when it comes to camera features. I don't care what other people say, I would choose this over more megapixels on the main lens. Zooming in is a bit of a different story. While it is using the same camera, it doesn't seem to perform drastically better than phones which digitally zoom in. So if you're thinking of getting this for its zooming capability, it won't be a big leap forward. But if you really wanted to, you can still use the main camera and just crop it in on high-res mode. The main camera uses the Sony IMX890 camera sensor, which is an upgrade from the previous generation's IMX766. OPPO has toned down the processing on this a bit, which now makes images look more natural than it used to in the Reno 8. It doesn't seem to try too hard to make each subject bright. Instead, it tries to expose it closer to how it would look in real life. It even looks more natural than the OnePlus Nord 3 we previously reviewed, which also has the same camera sensor. This camera seems to have a look that resembles the mainstream brands now, like an iPhone or the Galaxy S23. Colors are true to life and sharpening looks mild, and I just really like it. Moving on to the ultrawide, this camera is drastically lower in resolution compared to others having only 8 megapixels. In good lighting, the images are pretty good. It does look soft if you zoom it in, but it's much better than other ultrawides I've seen on similarly priced phones. The image breaks down easily when it gets dim though. You will start to see noise around the edges, but nothing that would really ruin the image. I still find this very acceptable, especially if it's just for social media. Finally, the front-facing camera, as mentioned earlier, has a 32 megapixel Sony sensor, and it captures selfies with good detail and color accuracy. It also has a zoom feature that lets you choose between normal, wide-angle mode, or even 2x zoom. What surprised me though, is that, on paper, this seemed to have a similar camera to the Reno 8, so I expected similar results. But this performed significantly better, even in video mode. Using this front camera for TikTok videos, the quality looks amazing for a front camera. And the ultrawide looks pretty decent as well. But like its photo mode, it doesn't do well when things get a little dim. Similarly, the main camera shoots very nice looking video when we talk about its quality. What I did notice to be a bit jarring to me was the stabilization, which seemed to be inaccurate at times. There were times where it acted weird, especially when you're a bit zoomed in, so that's something to take note of. Overall, I think this phone has an amazing camera system which can rival flagship phones in terms of quality and features. And right now at this price, I think the move of smartphone brands seems to go towards a higher megapixel count like the Realme 11 Pro, the Honor 90, and the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus, which all have 200 megapixels on their main cameras. But the Reno series with the telephoto portrait camera, to me, should really be the way smartphone brands should be moving forward. And on this one, it's just really impressive to see this at this price range. So at this price, if cameras are priority, this one gets my pick. Guys, we are almost at 10k subs now, and I really appreciate all of you guys who are watching our videos. We did take a rest for a while, but we are back now, and We have a lot of videos that are lined up. So for those of you guys who haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.